Hello and welcome to Let's Play Tyranny with me, Bring It On. A disclaimer before I get started, this entire first episode will be character creation. I plan on going through the entire character creation process, reading the descriptions for all the stats and abilities that I select along the way. And I'm going to play up to the point where the game gives me control of my character and that I can save. So I will go through any introductory dialogue or opening cinematics at the start of the game. With that out of the way, Tyranny is an isometric CRPG developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Paradox Interactive. It was released on November 10th, 2016, and it's supposed to have a strong focus on choices and the story. I've wanted to play this game for a while since it was released. I actually pre-ordered it. I do have the pre-order bonus for the game, as well as all the DLC. I believe there are 3 if you include the portrait pack. And I've managed to keep it fairly spoiler-free. There are a few minor details, like the names of some companions and things like that, that I am familiar with. But other than that, I don't know anything about the story. So I'm excited to jump in. It's been a few years, but I'm glad to finally get the opportunity to adventure through the game. So I have gone through the character creation just to get an idea of what to expect. I am split between normal and hard. I like it when CRPGs tell me there's like a core rule set or a intended difficulty. But I have played CRPGs for a while. I'm going to go with hard, just because I feel like I should be able to manage that. I don't know what the helper features means when you enable expert mode. I don't know what helper features are being disabled. So I'm not going to select that. And I'm not going to do Trial of Iron. It's not good for a Let's Play, especially not a Let's Play of a game that you're playing through blindly. So we're not going to select that either. So we're just going to play on hard and jump on into character creation. Oh, cinematic. I skipped this earlier.
For over 400 years, the armies of Kyros the Overlord have swept across the known world. All who stood against them fell before their might. Even the Archons, women and men of immense power, were forced to kneel, chained to the Overlord's will. Now Kyros' final conquest has come to our corner of the world, and 2 of the Overlord's armies compete for the honor of taking our lands. The elite disfavored, and the teeming horde of the Scarlet Chorus. The voices of Nerat, spymaster and archon of secrets, guides the fierce and undisciplined masses of the Scarlet Chorus. With each battle, the Scarlet Chorus grows stronger, as the defeated are given a simple choice: serve or die. Graven Ash, Archon of War and the Overlord's most loyal general, leads the disfavored. Though small in number, Kyros' ironclad legion has never met true defeat in open battle. Watching over the 2 generals is Tunon, the Adjudicator, Archon of Justice, eldest of Kyros' minions. Tunon brings Kyros' laws to newly conquered lands, aided by the Fatebinders, judges and executioners of the Overlord's laws. You were among the youngest of the court of Fatebinders when Kyros' armies came to our lands. How could we have known that the fate of thousands would rest in your hands?
That's interesting. So that the center figure, Tunon, I had always assumed that was Kyros in the artwork. Anyway, alright, we're going to play a male, because I am a male. Let's see. This is me in high school. A little more filled out now. But, yeah, that was me. That was me a few years ago. Alright, let me go with the big guy. Let's have a plan for my character. Role. In the Northern Empire, where you were born, men enjoy equal protections under the laws of the Overlord Kyros. In the southern lands of the Tiers, only men may own or captain ships. The real estate is restricted to women. Men may lease, but durable ownerships of the land in the Tiers always passes to eldest daughters or sister. That's interesting. Most sons enter their father's profession by their mid-teens. Those without a profession or family lands to work can find purpose by pledging service to one of the Overlord's mighty archons. Criminals, derelicts, and others are often conscripted into the armies of the archons. If a child cannot forge his own skyne, he will certainly find one in battle. I'm curious. I'm not going to read this out loud, I just want to go through it real fast. That's neat. Alright, so yeah, I like how they phrase this here. All these customs give the oceans to the men, the lands are trusted to the women. Cool. Alright, let's go through this. Not a lot of facial options. I'm going to go with, I guess, that one. And where's that? This is kind of what my hair looks like. It's not as floofy. I need to get a haircut. Yeah, we'll go with this. And then beard, of course. Alright, yeah, we'll go with that. And black, of course. I like these tattoo designs so far. Oh, a hand and face tattoo. Strictly a leg tattoo. I like these. I like tattoos that look like script. I like this one too. It's pretty simple, elegant. I really like that one too. That one's a little lame. Oh, I like that one. Yeah, these tattoo designs are really, really nice. Except for that one. That one and this one. I don't like those. I might go with the tree. I like that. Nice simple red and black design. Not bad. Alright, is there a bearded armored warrior? I'm not a huge fan of the portraits so far. They just seem a little... This one especially just seems a little too cartoony. Alright, there's not one that I particularly like either. We might have to just go with this one. I have nothing against it, it just doesn't match my character's model. That's fine. Alright, so I have looked through these previously, and I decided I think the Noble Scion, for the most part, fits the character that I want to play. The only part of the Noble Scion story that I don't like is the whole family backdrop, but being a noble is going to fit the character I plan on playing through this game. So born to noble parents, you're groomed for leadership. Youth spent on letters, history, rhetoric, and other matters of culture and statecraft. Though you had wealth and creature comforts, you were expected to grow up quickly and bear the honor of shepherding others through prosperity and war. When your parents came under accusation of sedition, you were sent to the court of Tunon, Archon of Justice, to defend your family's actions. Your parents were found guilty. Their sentence, the dissolution of the treasonous estate. Eloquently pleading your own ignorance of your family's actions, you negotiated your most important deal yet. Immunity from the crimes of your family, for the simple cost of swearing fealty to the Archon himself. Despite the unwilling induction, your education and savvy made you a valuable addition to the Archon's cadre or cadre. I heard it pronounced both ways. I usually say cadre. Of enforcers. And so long as you remain in good standing, your family just might be allowed to live. And I did debate with myself for a while. I didn't know if I wanted to go sword and shield, or greatsword. So two-handed weapons or one-handed weapons with a shield. I love playing a tank in games like this, but in almost every situation, every CRPG does give you a tank character. And I tend to like the tank characters that they give you, so I'm probably gonna just go two-handed weapons, because you usually don't need more than one tank, but it's never a bad idea to stack up on DPS. That's my reasoning behind that. So I'm going to select Greatsword here. Wielding a two-handed weapon puts your focus on power rather than speed. This is a slow attack style, but the damage you deal will often overcome the armor of your enemies. Then we have to choose an ability, so what do we have? We have Sunder. Cooldown 20 seconds, 17 to 23 slash, pierce base 12 to 16, times 1.5 primary weapon, versus parry. So to my understanding it does 1.5 times, so 150% of your damage. Foe target sundered for 20 seconds. I assume that reduces their armor. That's what Sunder usually does. I deliver a powerful overhead attack that reduces the target's armor. Alright, it says it right there. Just had to read a little further. Then we have Cleave. Longer cooldown at 30 seconds. 9 to 12 slash, pierce base 12 to 16. So this only does 80% of your damage. So it's already worse. And it's versus dodge instead of parry. But you do attack in a 210 degree cone. A sweeping cone attack that hits multiple nearby enemies. I'm gonna go with Sunder. More damage and it reduces their armor, so you do more damage with your follow-up attacks. Oh, that's right, I forgot you select the second one. So I'm actually gonna select War Mace as my secondary expertise, which gives me Cleave automatically, so I didn't really have to pick. My choice didn't matter. Alright, so there are a couple of these that I liked. I like the Fist, and I don't know if this is supposed to be like a rook or like a castle. That's kind of what I got out of it. I'm also a huge fan of this one. I think this is a really pretty icon. But I think I'm going to go... So I don't know if I want to go with the Fist or the Hammer. I'm probably going to go with the Hammer, because I'll probably end up using a Hammer in this playthrough. And red and black matches my channel's color scheme, so... Let's change the color of the pants. So I think purple is oftentimes underrepresented in games. I might go with purple here. Let's do like black pants. Let's see how the other colors look. Red doesn't look bad. Neither does the blue. I might go with red just so it matches my banner. Alright. I'm going to spell it correctly this time, because in my Baldur's Gate Let's Play, I did not. This is pronounced O'Donnell, by the way. It's the Gaelic origin of my name. And I think it usually fits the fantasy aesthetic of games. I try to select a name that's based off my name in real life, but that fits the world that I'm playing in, depending on the game. So, anyway, I'm going to put all my points into Might, I think. Let me read through these real fast, though. So Might. Might determines the physical strength of a character. Increased Might leads to more powerful attacks and stronger abilities, as well as increasing the endurance defense. So with 18 points into it, I get plus 24% attack and ability strength, and plus 24 endurance defense. This attribute is strongly recommended for you because you're training at Greatsword. Okay, and War Mace. Finesse. The Finesse attribute describes a character's physical and mental precision. Finesse is used to determine accuracy of attacks and spells, as well as increasing worn armor's chances to reduce a hit type, e.g. a critical to a hit or a hit to a graze. Well, that actually sounds really good. I think, well, I'm sure we'll find gear and stuff to boost our other stats, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. Anyway, Quickness. Quickness determines how often a character can use their abilities and spells in combat, reducing cooldown durations. Ability and spell cooldown, but not attack cooldown. Vitality. Vitality determines a character's physical health and their strength of personality. It also increases the will defense. Strength of personality, so that's charisma. Should I put points into vitality? I don't think so. I'm going to stick with this. Alright, so Wits. The Wits attribute describes a character's mental acuity, the ability to observe their environment and pick up on clues. Wits is used to increase spell strength as well as increase the magic defense. And then Resolve. Resolve determines a character's ability to endure physical and mental challenges. Resolve is the primary attribute used to derive the endurance, will, and magic defenses. It also increases the durations of afflictions applied by the character. So you can go negative here, but I do not want... I hate negative attributes. So if I can avoid it, I do. And plus I don't want negative magic defense. That sounds awful. So I'm going to keep the rest of them neutral and just put all my points into might. Because again, I'm sure we'll find gear and spells and things to boost the rest of our stats. I'm not too worried about it. So let's go to skills. Alright, so two-handed weapons, we've already read that. Well, no we haven't. This is different. Determines effectiveness of attacks using large weapons wielded in both hands. Greatswords, warhammers, and axes. Higher skill values lead to more accurate attacks, increasing the chance of critical strikes. So I'm going to go ahead and pump this up to 50. Which is the max I can do. Cool. So that's going to give me base value 27, 18 might times 1.5. Oh, Noble Scion gave me plus 4. I didn't realize that the backstories increase these stats. Neat. We can go ahead and read all these, why not? So bows determines the effectiveness of ranged bow attacks. It's all pretty straightforward. Dual wield, wielding 2 weapons, magic staff, using a magic staff. One-handed weapons, using one-handed weapons, and unarmed combat, no weapon. The way I understand the support skills, like athletics, lore, parry, and all that stuff, these can level up as you use them. And to my understanding, lore is the easiest one to level up, because lore can be leveled up by just using magic, just casting spells. But let's go ahead and read about them. So athletics determines a character's ability to traverse difficult terrain, as well as their ability to execute complicated moves in combat. Athletics is also used in dialogue to determine your ability to intimidate or physically overpower someone. So that is actually really good for me. I don't need personality when I can intimidate based off my bulk. Because every season is bulking season. So lore. Lore skill determines a character's ability to decipher information and put together clues from fragments of information. The skill is critical for magic users who wish to learn new runes to power their spells. Lore is also used in dialogue to determine what you know about the history of the world, or to impress others with your intelligence. So Noble Scion gives me plus 2 to this as well. That's why I have 22 instead of just 20. Neat. Alright. And then parry. The parry skill defends against melee attacks and spells. Higher skill ranks will reduce damage from enemy attacks and may lead them to miss altogether. So Great Sword, Expertise, and Noble Scion gives me a total of plus 7. Let's go get this up to 30, I think. Then Dodge. The Dodge skill defends against ranged attacks from bows, javelins, or magic spells. Higher skill ranks will reduce damage taken, or even cause enemies to miss their attack altogether. Then Subterfuge. The Subterfuge skill determines a character's ability to move unseen through their environment, to detect and manipulate hidden traps and devices, and to open locked chests and doors. It is also used in dialogue to determine your ability to deceive or trick the person you're speaking with. So another thing with this, so as you use them, they level up, but also, no matter who in your party uses it, it boosts the entire party's skill. So like say I have like a thief or somebody using Subterfuge. If they open up a locked chest, everyone in the party gets a small bonus to their Subterfuge skill. As far as I understand it. Again, I haven't played the game, but that's my understanding of the system. So I think I'm going to put more points into... Let me do it like that. But also, some of these are easier to level up than others. I already mentioned the lore, because all you have to do is cast magic for this to increase. Subterfuge, I think you can just sneak around enemies to level it up. I'm not going to bother grinding it out like that. I'm not that worried about it. But I guess parry you just level up by using it in combat, right? I don't know, we'll see. Either way. Alright, so I don't want to select a pre-decided conquest where you're going to go through the conquest system as well. So selecting the conquest option will allow you to play through Kyros' conquest of the tiers, choosing how your character was involved in the invasion. This gives you the most control over the starting state of the game, and how other factions will react to your character. Alright, let's do it.
All the world has fallen to Kyros, and now the Overlord's eye is on the tiers, our home. The last corner of the world free of Kyros' reign. 2 armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, march south from the Northern Empire, the last realm to fall to Kyros a century prior. In the early days of 428, Kyros' armies arrive at the Gates of Judgment, the mountainous border that we Tiersmen so long believed unassailable. Unable to agree on a unified plan of defense, the various leaders of the Tiers sit and wait for each other to deal with the conquerors, until it's too late.
Alright, Conquest. During the Conquest, you will decide your character's actions during Kyros' invasion of the Tiers, shaping the world through which you will adventure over the course of the game. Each choice you make affects your character and how major factions of the Tiers respond to you. Your decisions matter. Choose wisely. Alright, you're one of Kyros' Conquest, 428 TR. The Bastard City. The Bastard City, named for its position between 2 realms, the Northern Empire and the Southern Tiers. The Bastard City and its surrounding lands, known as the Bastard Tier, is a melting pot of cultures and a place of commerce and intrigue. The Tiersmen of the South view the Bastard City as a place of wealth and... Lost my place. It's a place of wealth and access, but to the people of the Northern Empire, the Bastard City is little more than a sprawling slum. Tunon the Adjudicator, establishes court in the Bastard City. From his foothold in the Tiers, he and his court of Fatebinders imposed Kyros' law upon the conquered land. Alright, so the Bastard City stood on the northern border between Kyros' empire. Alright, I do want to read all these. I want to get into the lore a bit, so let's read about Kyros. Kyros is a name out of legend. For centuries, the Overlord has consolidated power, sending vast armies to swallow entire realms. The most powerful mystic the world has ever seen, Kyros can issue edicts, magical proclamations that level cities, spread pox, sunder the lands, or change the course of seasons. The Archons, the masters of magic throughout the known world, bow to Kyros, and the Overlord readily destroys any Archons unwilling to kneel. These sorceresses and madmen lead the Overlord's armies in near-endless conquest. As the realms of the known world fall to the Overlord, these captured territories are divvied up amongst the Archons to manage. Able to deliver suffering and woe to every corner of Tyrannis without leaving the capital, few have seen the Overlord in person. Though Kyros' name is the single most recognized name in the world, only the Archons can say what the Overlord looks like. And the rest of these are all Kyros, so we just read through this. Alright, so the Bastard City stood on the northern border between Kyros' empire and the Tiers. Built upon a natural harbor at the crossroads between realms, the city was a nexus of commerce. To the Tiers, it was a center of all wealth. To a northerner, it was little more than a backwater trading post. Its symbolic status as a gateway to the continent made it a natural first target in Kyros' military conquest. Circumstances were ideal for you to prove your worth as a soldier in Kyros' armies. Taking the city would send a message to the rest of the Tiers. Kyros' will is insurmountable. Does it matter which token I select? Alright, so Gates of Judgment. The armies of Kyros took the battle to the Gates of Judgment, trumpeting the opening call of the conquest of the Tiers. The 2 armies, the disfavored, disciplined and battle-hardened, the disfavored an elite legion in Kyros' army. They spearheaded the conquest of the younger realms, finding themselves always outnumbered, but never outclassed. Led by the steadfast and dutiful Graven Ash, whom they follow with obsessive devotion, they are committed to imposing their interpretation of order upon the relative lawlessness of the tiers. The Legion only tolerates Northerners in their ranks, priding themselves on their high standards and cultural purity. And the Scarlet Chorus. The Scarlet Chorus is little more than a gang of thugs and their captive slaves. Rather than organized under commissioned officers, the Chorus follow a hierarchy, seemingly ruled by whoever has the bravado to command and defend their position. At the head of this chaotic pecking order, the Archon of Secrets, better known as the Voices of Nerat, treats the Scarlet Chorus as his personal army. The Scarlet Chorus often suffers tremendous losses after battle, only to swell in the aftermath, when captured enemies and collateral prisoners are given the cruel opportunity to join or die. Alright, so the armies of Kyros took the battle to the Gates of Judgment, trumpeting the opening call of the conquest of the tiers. The two armies, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, brought their distinctive sense of order and chaos to the assault. You went to battle alongside the army whose approach best suited your strengths. Well, I don't like the purity of the Disfavored, but I also don't like chaos. I'm going to play more of a lawful character this playthrough. Which, by the way, I am really excited. There's no classes in this game, so I'm not playing a Paladin, which is usually the class I play through a game for the first time with. So I don't have to worry about choosing like lawful good decisions. I can pick whatever I want, and it won't I won't lose my powers. So I think I'm gonna pick the Disfavored here. Standing shield to shield with Kyros' ironclad elite, you advance on the mercenary army purchased by the nobles of the Bastard City. The Legion wanted to send a message to the tiers that superior breeding and disciplined training would win the day. Yeah, we'll go with this. They're really driving home the superiority of the disciplined. The Bastard City learned too late that a military is earned and never bought. The mercenary army quickly found themselves outclassed by the superior tactics and formation of the Disfavored. Those few who lived to the end of the battle were rounded up, the weak executed, and the strong enslaved to haul the army's wagons on the journey south. Alright, so to judge the enemy, you decided the fate of enemy soldiers captured in battle. The soldiers of the tiers fell by the hundreds, and Kyros' armies could not agree on how to handle what few survivors they dragged back to camp. Befitting your role, the commanders turned to you to decide the fate of those who occupied prison pens. There were only enough prisoners to support the plan of a single army. A Disfavored needed slaves to haul their gear, dig latrines, and keep their pallets warm at night. You consign the survivors of battle to their subservient role among Graven Ash's noble troops. Let's read about Graven Ash. The last of the great northern generals to stand against the Overlord in ages past, Archon Graven Ash now serves Kyros as Supreme Commander of the Disfavored Legion, and is charged with the conquering of the tiers. Or with conquering the tiers. Graven Ash shares a powerful bond with the soldiers under his command, and regards each of them as family. The death of a soldier at enemy hands represents a grievous loss to the old general, who bears the burden of his love with mournful stoicism. Can't read about the Faces of Nerat yet. See, I like the idea of recruiting enemies to fight for you. Not much for slavery, so I think I'm going to pick this one. So you gave prisoners a chance to serve in Kyros' army or die. The Scarlet Chorus was in need of extra troops to fill up the vanguard, and your former enemies would occupy those slots nicely. And also turning your enemies against themselves. I think it's a smart choice. You armed cooperative ex-soldiers with scrap weapons and tossed them into the vanguard of the next Scarlet Chorus assault. Those who survived were welcome to take up the arms and armor of the fallen, and eke out a desperate struggle to survive in Kyros' military. After their first victory, you rewarded the new recruits with the opportunity to execute their wounded or reluctant countrymen. Alright, taking the Bastard City. The armies of Kyros amassed around the Bastard City, the first bastion of the tiers to fall. Both armies longed to storm the walled outposts, the Scarlet Chorus howling for plunder, and the Disfavored forming an unbreakable shield wall. Your prowess on the field of battle had carried them this far, but there was one more step before total victory. Both of the armies had inspired schemes to take the Bastard City. Which did you support? Okay. So you joined the disfavored vanguard in a direct assault upon the city gates. No fortification would stand before the unstoppable legion. Setting fire to the city with this chorus. And then subterfuge. Alright, so I'm going to go with this. I like the direct assault. My character is going to be a very... I picked the hammer. I split between the hammer and the fist icons for my banner because I want to be... I plan on being loyal to Kyros. I want to be just a blunt instrument of Kyros' will. So I'm going to try to go with a very blunt decision making. So I'm going to join the disfavored vanguard in a direct assault upon the city gates. No fortification would stand before the unstoppable legion. And get warrior's respite. 1 per encounter, minus 50% damage for 12 seconds, and plus 15% health every 3 seconds for 12 seconds. Stand your ground in the face of defeat. During this time, you'll regenerate health rapidly, but your damage is significantly reduced. Oh, I assume that... Oh, alright, so I misinterpreted that. I thought the minus 50% damage for 12 seconds was, I took 50% less damage for 12 seconds. But that's fine. I can make that work too. Alright, with heroic courage and legendary determination, the disfavored battered the gates of the bastard city to splinters. Those who fell under the consistent hail of arrows or cascades of boiling pitch left the battlefield temporarily, only to appear hours later as Archon, Graven Ash's protection, healed their numerous wounds. Sorry, that's a very long sentence. I kept pausing because I thought the sentence was over. In time, the gates gave way, and Kyros' forces spilled inside the city walls, with resounding cheers of victory. Alright, so the bastard city settled into a new state of normalcy, with every tower displayed Kyros' banner. Your name was whispered alongside rumors of a decorated career to come. The armies divided into 2 fronts and migrated south. Tunon sent word that you were to join the next frontier of Kyros' conquest, either as judge and overseer of the settlement of Lethian's Crossing, or as a war advisor with the armies advancing into the realm of Apex. Lethian's Crossing. Beyond the shadow of an old wall's junction in the realm of Haven, Lethian's Crossing is a growing trading settlement. The nearby rivers are rich in iron ore, though the locals lack the technology to smelt and forge the element. In the years following Kyros' conquest of the Tiers, the population of Lethian's Crossing swelled with refugees fleeing the destruction of their homelands. The presence of the forge-bound mining the iron, along with their guards, makes this makeshift settlement a vital resource for Kyros' army. I'm going to go with... Alright, so Apex. The troops of the mountain realm of Apex stood idle in the safety of their valley, biding their time as their neighbors in the bastard tier fell. In the second year of war, a joint force of the disfavored and Scarlet Corps crossed over the mountains to take control of the tier's central valley. In Lethian's Crossing, deposits of iron made the settlement of Lethian's Crossing a strategic war asset. Kyros sent the forge-bound smith mages of exceptional skill to establish a flow of weaponry. Tunon the Adjudicator sent one of his fate binders to ensure the enforcement of Kyros' law. So I do serve Tunon, who is the Archon of Justice, so I think this fits the bill. But do I want more combat? I'm going to go with this. Because I am a noble after all, so diplomacy isn't beyond me. So 429 TR, year 2 of Kyros' conquest. It's a lot of reading here. It looks like there's only 4 events. Alright, so Lethian's Crossing. Years ago, Lethian the Bold founded a small merchant town at the intersection of ancient old walls. A pact between the settlers and a mercenary company meant that caravans were able to travel without fear of bandits or bane, and the town thrived in modest insignificance. Lethian's Crossing drew Kyros' attention for the iron deposits in the surrounding hills. With the region under Kyros' control, the northern smith mages could set up workshops to refine ore and arm the disfavored with the finest weapons in the known world. The Archon of Secrets dismantled the mercenary support with a generous bribe, taking the crossing in a bloodless victory. Tunon dispatched you to travel alongside Kyros' forces and bring order to the region. Iron must flow, or the cult of Siren. Let's do this. The iron must flow. Let me read it real fast. You found a clever solution to improve production of iron weapons and armor. Kyros' smith mages worked day and night to create weapons. No one faulted their dedication, yet production was low. The plans that came to light proved divisive to this favored and Scarlet Chorus. On one hand, any additional manpower is needed for fighters, not forges. On the other hand, the celebrated weaponry of Kyros' armies needed to be fiercely guarded. Yeah, I'm going to go with this. The Scarlet Chorus took refugees from the recent influx and forced them to serve in Kyros' military. We repurposed these individuals to haul wagons of iron for the smith mages. This proved an inconvenience to the Scarlet Chorus, who relied on their force of numbers to be effective in the field. Actually, it sounds like this might be better, because I'm not hindering one of the two armies. You conscripted help from a local tribe of beastmen. Their strength would more than offset their disobedience. The disfavored protested that savages have access to the secrets of iron, but their voices were few compared to the support of the Scarlet Chorus. This is saying that we're going to be less effective on the field of battle, and I don't like that. So let's go with the Beastmen. The Scarlet Chorus were overjoyed to learn of a Beastman conscription, and graciously lent their support to your cause. The local Beastmen were subdued and yoked to iron. Oh. I thought we were going to convince them to join us, not enslave them. Well, too late now. The Beastmen were subdued and yoked to iron, bearing wagons where their boundless strength and tirelessness proved critical to the smith mages. The disfavored grew agitated about exposing the secret of iron to savages. You attempted to allay their concerns, but your words fell flat before a stubborn, uncompromising audience. Alright, pick of the armory or a guardian's due. Alright, as the forces improved production, both armies demanded preferential treatment. So pick of the armory. Since you aided the production of weapons, commanders of both armies lobbied for additional arms. They offered all manner of bribes to be next in line for a fitting session with the masters of the forge. How did you sate the lust for iron? Remain neutral. You allow no changes to the orderly dispensation of iron and punish those who try to bribe you twice. Okay, so I don't care about the Scarlet Chorus here because they tend, from what I read, one of the other descriptions, they loot the battlefield after the fact. The disfavored are the elite army, so I think they should get the pick of the litter. So you let the disfavored have the iron, keeping the best tools in the hands of the elite. The Scarlet Chorus saw the slight as an obvious display of preferential treatment. Passing out iron to even the... I probably should have got neutral though. That was the most lawful thing to do. Because I think this indicates that I accepted a bribe from the disfavored, which I did not want to do. Passing out iron to even the hardiest Scarlet Chorus gang boss would have been a waste of resources. Most of them couldn't wield arms more complicated than a pitchfork, and their chances of surviving a fortnight were suspect. The disfavored, by contrast, knew how to use and respect a capable weapon to its greatest potential. Perhaps more importantly, the disfavored remember their friends when a time of need arises, and their loyalty runs as deep as any vein of iron ore. So who controlled the crossing? Tragedy struck when a mercenary hired by the Voices of Nerat injured a forge-bound artisan, leaving him unable to practice his craft. Tunon ordered the mercenaries to leave the city in the hands of Kyros' more responsible servants. Only a token garrison could be left behind, while the armies returned to the front. As the disfavored and Scarlet Chorus showed increasing tension and hostility toward each other, Tunon decreed it best that only one force control the crossing. Who would control the crossing? I think the disfavored would be better since they are the ones getting the equipment from the crossing. It doesn't make sense to put the people in charge of it who aren't reaping the benefits. So, you granted control of Lethian's crossing to the disfavored. The disfavored placed a modest garrison in the settlement of Lethian's crossing. Though the force was larger than might be needed to police the small settlement, protecting the forge-bound ironsmiths became the true agenda of the defense force, as these magical craftsmen kept the disfavored invasion force suited in iron. Relieved at the departure of the Scarlet Chorus, the citizens of Lethian's crossing felt they got the least of two burdens. You received word from Graven Ash, thanking you for your decision. The forge-bound and their weaponry could not be entrusted to the voices of Narat. You didn't think about that either, because the Scarlet Chorus seems a little more untidy. So the citizens of the settlement probably don't want them around either. So. With the mercenaries expelled and Lethian's crossing under new leadership, Kyros' forces congratulated themselves on bringing order to the settlement and guaranteeing a productive flow of resources. Over the course of this diversion, the army front advanced further into the tiers. Your skills were needed in the realm of Azure, Stalwart, or the Vellum Citadel. The Vellum Citadel was a library fortress, the largest archive of the written word of the tiers. The School of Ink and Quill protected and maintained the archive of ancient lore for centuries, standing apart from the political upheavals of the younger realms as an enduring pillar of knowledge and culture. So Kyros dispatched the Archon of Stone to subjugate the nation of Azure. Kyros' conquering gaze fell upon the Vellum Citadel, its treasures, its knowledge, its secrets. Or with its easily defended position and rich military tradition, the realm of Stalwart is the most formidable realm in the tiers. I'm going to go to Stalwart. Sounds like they need my help the most if it's the most heavily defended realm in the tiers. 430 TR, year 3 of Kyros' Conquest. Alright, the realm of Stalwart was best known for its proud army discipline. Disciplined, courageous, and undefeated on their home soil. Skill and resolve made Stalwart a military power that Kyros' forces approached with due caution. With its southern position, Stalwart had been largely safe from war, watching for 2 years as its neighbors fell to Kyros' forces. On the dawn of the third year of war, Kyros' forces were finally poised to invade the Stalwart Peninsula and subdue the tier's most vaunted army. Marching on empty. Let's do this. The Stalwart defenders burned their crops as they retreated, leaving the invaders little to forage. Starving, the Scarlet Chorus mob raided from the disfavored's well-maintained supply lines, incurring casualties on both sides. He ordered that the thieving Scarlet Chorus soldiers be spiked for their affront. Yeah, it seems pretty blunt. Let's go with that. Even in a time of war, there was no excuse for allied armies to battle each other in violation of Kyros' peace. The disfavored rightly argued that they only had enough supplies to feed their troops. The Scarlet Chorus needed to better look after their own people. Agreeing with their assessment, you had the offenders staked outside of the Scarlet Chorus camp, left to send the message that hunger was no shield from justice. A little harsh, but we're not playing a good guy here. Better dead than red. A string of mass suicides led to the Scarlet Chorus making demands of the disfavored. Rather than submit to the two Scarlet Chorus conscription, conquered locals began committing suicide. Desperate to add more bodies to the horde, the Scarlet Chorus demanded a portion of disfavored prisoners. The disfavored denied the right of recruitment, as the realm's population had taken a steep decline. If they can't handle their own recruiting, I don't think they should reap the benefits of the disfavored's setup. So you banned the Scarlet Chorus from recruiting in the realm of Stalwart, going so far as notifying the locals to assuage their fears. Yeah, I don't want the people to die. We're here to conquer the people. We We don't want the people to die. Otherwise, what's the point in conquest, you know? So I'm going to start with the disfavored here as well. You agreed with the disfavored arguments. This conquest is never about ruling a graveyard, see? But the Scarlet Chorus acted contrary to that goal. The voices of Nerat and his mobs blamed you for suppressing their ability to conduct wars they saw fit. In spite of their protests, you read this proclamation in every conquered village, knowing that enemy spies would hear your verdict. The Edict of Storms. The disfavored carved a slow, steady path into the heart of Stalwart, and surrounded the enemy's massive fortress. With the main bulk of their forces defeated, the enemy leadership retreated to their mighty fortress, content to wait out the war. The Overlord answered this impudence with an Edict of Storms on the peninsula, a devastating spell that would endure for as long as the cowardly hearts of Stalwart's leaders persisted in beating. Knowing you had the trust of Graven Ash, Tunon deemed you the proper representative to deliver Kyros' edict. Aside from being given a 3-day window to read the edict, you received no further instructions, or no other instructions. No. Yeah, we're gonna give them a heads up. An attempt to ingratiate themselves with the people of Stalwart, the Scarlet Chorus insisted that warnings be sent to the towns and villages, so that the people may prepare for the horror about to descend on them. I agree with that. Kyros' wrath was intended for the cowardly regions of Stalwart, not those unfortunates swept up in the calamity of their leadership. A warning in advance of the spell would give locals time to prepare for the devastation to come. You are content to let the punishment fall on the innocent as lightly as Kyros' will allows. Comforted that you might yet spare lives, you broke the seal of Kyros' Edict of Storms and read the Overlord's incantation. Yeah, I'm not just going to kill a bunch of innocent people. The Edict of Storms. The clear skies darkened as you read the final words of the edict. A flurry of wind and rain whipped through the rolling plains and craggy canyons, turning rocks, uprooted trees, and hapless soldiers into hazardous shrapnel. Armed with a measure of foresight, you're able to remove yourself from the area before the storms grew more violent. Over time, nearby communities told of cyclones consisting of thousands of soldiers' worth of limbs, spears, armor, and skulls. What's more, the weather showed no sign of dissipating. Several units of disfavored, who fought the enemy in spite of the advancing storm, were caught up in the Overlord's might. The few survivors regrouped to nurse their wounds. Their failure to topple the Stalwart Legion shamed them into believing the dead more fortunate. The name Stalwart fell from use. People took to calling it the Blade Grave, for the remade landscape festooned with the iron and bronze armaments of two once great legions. Let's read about this. The Blade Grave is the name given to what remains of the realm of Stalwart, after its ruination when Kyros proclaimed the Edict of Storms upon the lands. The magical storm struck the disfavored and unbroken armies during the height of their engagement. Now most of what remains is a blighted landscape of discarded armor and weapons, and high winds of rust and human dust. As Kyros' forces departed, you spared a glance back at the ruins of Stalwart, marveling at your work. You didn't have long to rest before Tunon called you into service once more. So Tunon the Adjudicator is the Archon of Justice, ruler of the conquered realms, and arbiter of disputes. Oldest of the Archons sent to conquer the Tears, Tunon speaks with Kyros' authority. His true appearance remains hidden behind an iron mask, the face of judgment. Tunon is an impartial, sober creature, wholly obsessed with justice and order. Though soon to be a powerful combatant, Tunon rarely strays from his throne room, entrusting his court of fate-binders to act as his eyes and ears, as well as judges, juries, and executioners. It's a long intro. Conquest complete! You've reached the end of Kyros' conquest. Do you want to continue, or erase your progress and start over? I'll continue. I'll stick to my guns.
The year is 431, and Kyros' invasion has shattered all major opposition in the tiers. The Younger Realms, the Bastard Tier, the Free Cities. All who defied Kyros lay broken by battle, or bowed in surrender. The two armies of the Overlord, the Disfavored and the Scarlet Chorus, now control our lands. But our will is not yet extinguished. Not entirely. In the Valley of Vendrian's Well, those of us unwilling to bow to Kyros have banded together in defiance. Violating an oath of surrender from 2 years prior, we have staged a bloody uprising, murdering the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus garrison in a midnight assault. With their main forces spread across the tiers, the Disfavored and Scarlet Chorus redeploy to Vendrian's Well to crush the resistance, but months pass with no definitive battle. As disagreement and discord paralyze the Archons, we bide our time and wait for our message of insurrection to spread across the tiers. The Overlord is not amused, and Kyros has one message for the Archons: crush the Oathbreakers or die. Kyros backs this threat with an edict, a magical commandment that can slay all in the valley should the order be ignored. The honor of proclaiming this edict fell to you. Sent across the mountains to Vendrian's Well, you carry the Overlord's edict to read before the Archons. As you finally make your way through the winding mountain passes into the valley, the ground trembles, and Kyros' magic seals the way behind you.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that as a story piece, so you can't leave the area. Because everyone that's in the valley is supposed to die if you read the edict.
You are trapped in Vendrian's Well, with Kyros' armies and the Oathbreakers. The only way to survive is to fulfill the terms of the Overlord's edict, in any way that you can. Fatebinder Donald, I presume. We've been expecting you. Alright, welcome to Tyranny. If this is your first visit to the world of Tyranny, watch for these windows to help you become familiar with the game. You can disable tutorial messages at any time from the game options menu. I'll keep them on for now. In the meantime, I'm going to call the episode here, and the next one will continue, or actually start our journey. I guess we've technically already started it, because we went through the Conquest. But going forward, we'll actually be adventuring, and not just reading text. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.